Subject 033. Name, angel dust. Continuation of subject analysis. Entry number 2. This most recent meeting with Angel was much more different than the first. For one, the location and mood of the subject were different. Subject was caught off guard at my sudden appearance and was unprepared to answer the questions I provided. Subject also bears a deep connection and almost obsessive or overprotective attachment to a small pig he keeps as a pet. Must investigate further. Mentioning the subject's physical state during our meeting seemed to greatly upset him. More was revealed about the subject's life prior to hell. Very obvious domestic violence and neglect from father. Time of birth given is questionable, but closer to the truth. The suggested general time period holds a few answers to the subject's current psychological state and possible mental illnesses. Being born back then and having his sexuality must have put unimaginable amounts of stress and fear on his shoulders. Must find out if the beatings from father were because of his sexuality or some other unknown factor. Perhaps investigate family history and locate siblings/relatives in hell, if there are any. Closing thoughts. At the current rate answers are being provided, information may take up to years to collect. Potentially create and execute new strategies to obtain information more efficiently. There are some ways I can take the next meeting we will have. Approach 1. Sympathize and create a feeling of safety/comfort. Allow a false sense of care given by me. Then again, there is the risk of influence I may have. Friendliness will only carry me so far. Approach 2. See if it is possible to influence subject 033 to give the answers I seek if his closest companion is threatened. The last time his precious friend's whereabouts were unknown to him, he panicked and entered a state where in answering my questions, he hoped I would reveal what happened to his friend. Or approach 3. Continue questioning the same way, but take slightly more dismissing measures. Concern for subject well-being can be reduced to maximize information gathered per session. Maybe the latter, but certainty cannot be determined at this current time. In summary, dwell upon the best approach for next questioning and prepare accordingly should a contingency plan be needed. Subject 031. Name, Vaggie. Continuation of subject analysis. Entry number 2. After listening to Diane's talk with the subject, I can say with some confidence that my absence helped in getting Vaggie to talk. The first thing I noticed is Diane's approach to the subject. It was entirely different from how I would have taken it. I provided Diane a list of questions I had, but very few were given in the session. Thanks to Diane's more personal way of reaching the subject, it considerably reduced the possible efficiency. However, I noticed something interesting near the end. The subject seemed to relax, even if just for a few seconds. Her tone and demeanor softened, hinting to something I did not expect. Trust. While I am pleased with this achievement, it cannot grow past that. I fear Diane will start to see the subject as a friend, and vice versa. This behavior is strictly prohibited. Reprimands and restrictions will be applied to avoid this in the future. As to the answers the subject gave, I found Vaggie's affection for Charlie runs deeper than I thought. It almost dictates and controls her every action and word. Only after her love for Charlie was put aside did Vaggie begin to speak about herself and the information we need. Closing thoughts. I will have subject 031's next questioning be held by Diane again, but have precautions to avoid them becoming too friendly with one another. Perhaps use the first approach as explained in subject 033's profile. But I wonder, Could Diane and Vaggie's fragile trust provide more than I hope to gain? Maybe a confession or secret of Vaggie's can be revealed if Diane does this right. I should start preparing now. Diane, see me in my office once you're done with your current report.
Yes, sir.
In short, repress any further developments in friendship, inform Diane of the new approach, and prepare more questions/themes I want explanations for. Subject 026. Name, Husk. Continuation of subject analysis. Entry number 2. I have much to say about my previous meeting with Husk. The session exceeded my expectations in what I wanted to learn. During the 4 observations, he grew increasingly defensive and in denial as he knew what I was claiming was true. He was blatantly lying in the 4th observation. My wording was more than likely forcing his hand, but I wanted to bring a point across. When asked about his behavior and addiction, the subject once again grew defensive. Further investigation required. However, changing the direction of that topic averted his expectations. When simply asked why, he was willing to answer. The way he expressed himself during his answer tells me he was being truthful. Later on, the subject was caught off guard when I deduced the meaning behind his appearance. Moving swiftly from that, I made an interesting discovery. Husk's confession for a love of magic was a revelation I did not expect. I found talking to subject 026 about it seemed to slightly relax him. I should look into this later. Before the session ended, I asked him about any potential intimacy he may have or feel. I was met with a very negative reaction. I took a guess as to what the cause is, but there's nothing I can prove at this time. Closing thoughts. There are many things which he is still hiding, but a good amount was revealed in this session. Next time, I hope to learn more. Perhaps use the topic of magic to stir up something interesting and be careful with how many questions are presented. I will hope to learn more and more with each passing session, but I must tread carefully. If he loses his temper or feels the smallest bit of discomfort, he won't talk anymore, and I'll have to try again next time. There is no room for mistakes with him. One more thing to mention. I have this feeling that he is willingly isolating himself from any kind of relationship he may have, perhaps limited to business associates or friendship, but any romance is absent. This is a penance of sorts, voluntary. My guess was thanatophobia, the fear of losing a loved one. He may wish to have a relationship, but that fear is what's forcing his hand. Subject 021. Name, Alistair. Continuation of subject analysis. Entry number 2. Where do I begin? I suppose I will start with my approach. The method for talking with him was changed to adapt and provide a more carefree environment. It seemed to work, at least for a bit. Disguising my questions in the form of a normal, mundane conversation was an excellent idea, but it will not work a second time. He saw through my trickery and made me aware of it. I believe he contained himself thanks to our talk. He seemed to appreciate it, regardless if it was a trick. As I expected, he wanted to ask me a few questions himself. Since I wished to keep details about myself unknown to him, I answered as vaguely as possible, while still appealing to what he was looking for. Our conversation in question went better than I thought it would. He became relatively passive once it began to become more engaging and interesting. Mentioning the music he was fond of and his supposed calm activities was the right move. After asking a series of general questions, he was more than obliged to answer with explicit detail. It was almost as if he felt obligated to fill in the details which I missed. However, this type of thorough answering ended as quickly as it began. It is clear that he has been growing continuously more suspicious and wary of me. he will not be patient a third time. As for the information gathered, more was revealed about his past. His love for older technologies and food stems from childhood among the living. His mother was mentioned too, but nothing about the father. Must investigate further. Asking him about his past any more in my typical manner will surely be the end of any chance to learn something. I should tread carefully. Closing thoughts. Using the format of a normal conversation is now useless against him. Music will also be useless. His patience has grown thin with my lack of cooperation to play by his own rules. But that could be the key. He is used to being in control. I should not challenge him anymore. Maybe give him the sense that things will flow in his direction no matter what. A man like that could not resist any feeling of power over others. This opens up new opportunities. Similar to Subject 033, I have created 3 unique approaches to use against Subject 021 in the next meeting. Approach 1. Be present myself, but allow him to take the conversation in any direction he chooses. There is a chance that something will be revealed if he is confident enough. Very high risk though. There is no guarantee that he will reveal anything. I also put myself on the line, but that may be seen as a sign of respect. Approach 2. Send disposable operative in my stead with the same method as approach 1. This would test the new idea without the risk of injuring or killing myself if things should go bad with him. Approach 3. Continue as normal and wait for any opportunities to take. I have time, but not patience. Unlikely to use this method. Approach 2 is likely the plan I will use next time. One more thing. In the event the disposable operative is killed or goes missing, the tape should be recovered as quickly as possible if Subject 021 decides to destroy it. If we are too late, I do not know how much will be salvageable. Subject 037. Name, Nifty. Birth name, unknown. Last name, unknown. Physical description. Short female demon. One eye with orange sclera and black pupil. Short pink hair with a single streak of dark yellow. Light yellow skin. Wears a pink dress with a maroon-colored dog and 3 dots on it. White sleeveless top with pink runny spots scattered around it. Personality. Hyperactive, overly curious, easily distracted, fascinated by small things that pique their interests. Not keen on staying focused on one topic for an extended period of time. Dislikes. To be determined. Likes. Cleaning and tidiness. Notes. The meeting was slow and revealed close to nothing due to Subject 037's short attention span. She was exceptionally difficult, more so than the rest of the subjects. If I asked the subject a question, she responded with confusion or didn't answer in the correct manner at all. Something must be done to avoid this type of meeting again. As I said in the tape with the subject, I plan to host the next meeting in a distraction-free area. My idea was a plain white room with no environmental distractions. This includes decorations, furniture, windows, patterns, exposed infrastructure, or unique lighting. The only things there will be myself, the subject, and a recording device. I am also prepared to stay in that room as long as it takes to get the answers I need. I am much more patient than her, so we will see how long she will last. First conclusions. With a plan in place, I am to figure out where this hyperactivity comes from and how to dampen it. My main objective will be to constantly shut down any sidetracking and drifting off of the main topic of conversation. Through this, we will stay on track. The questions I would ask should remain specific, so there is not much thinking involved. If the subject does not cooperate or wishes to leave before we are done, I will allow postponement of the meeting, but it shall continue the next day or within 5 hours of the previous session ending. Subject 032. Name, Charlie. Continuation of subject analysis. Entry number 2. Charlie's hope remains unbreakable, and there's little chance it will begin to crumble anytime soon. I continued to ask about her goals, and as always, she was honest and answered to the best of her ability, which I appreciate. Her family history was mentioned briefly, but a few things were discussed. I learned her morals were likely developed by herself without any influence from her parents or other factors. I should investigate further into this. She may not remember why, but she has the best guess as to why she would adopt this idea of redemption and second chances. I asked her how a sinner would be redeemed if they cooperated, but I was not given a solid answer. I will most definitely bring this up the next time we talk. When her significant other was brought up, she snapped out of a deep thought when other grabs at her attention failed. I asked her what would happen to their relationship if Vaggie was redeemed. Her response was silence. Out of the blue, she asked me if I wanted to be redeemed as well. This looked to be a last-second grab at hope that not all is lost. In asking me, she was jumping back on this train of positive thinking. My answer was not exactly what she was expecting. What I meant was that it does not matter if I do or do not wish to be redeemed. It's a matter of deserving, of mercy. Others could be here for all the wrong reasons but wish to stay. The same goes for those whose sins are unforgivable, but they want to escape. In short, one must be judged before being given the choice whether they wish to stay or be redeemed. Closing thoughts. I want to keep talking with her about how this redemption idea came to be. I do not want any details to be missed. I also wonder if her standards change depending if her hotel thrives or begins to fail. In the next meeting, I will ask more about the family history she is comfortable talking about, her future plans, and most of all, her morals. I'm rather curious how far they stretch. Maybe assign theoretical situations and assess her responses. There is no need to change approaches like with Subject 021 or Subject 033, as she has been moderately cooperative. Next questioning will be with Subject 031. I suppose Subject 033 will... Doors unlocked.
You wanted to see me?
Affirmative. Take a seat. It's time for your next assignment.